Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Gungans and droids across our beloved Empire. It's great to be in the Empire today, and we got a lot to talk about in this video, so let's just hit the ground running. You and I, of course, as the title suggests, we're going to be talking with the top 10 free-to-play, plus a little extra, and beginner teams in Star Wars Galaxy. There's teams you can get up and running very quickly. They're going to get you a lot of bang for your buck, and you don't need to spend money to get a lot of action going in Star Wars Galaxy. And we're also going to be doing a little bit of a free-to-play update. As you guys know, in 2021, we started up a free-to-play guide and a new account, and my oh my, it has been a huge success. Over 300 billion views on that guide so far. Thank you guys so much for all the support. But I gotta say, since then, we're coming close to 2022. It's almost time for a new farming guide with the things that have happened this year. And I want to talk about teams that I've experienced in Grand Arena, Territories, Squad Arena, Territory Battles. The list goes on and on and on teams that are going to be so helpful for you guys. If you're struggling a bit on picking a team to start off with, we're going to help you out a little bit here and showcase some of the most powerful teams I've seen for free-to-play players in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And speaking of some tough teams out there to beat, mods are tough to grasp for a lot of people. You simply are not going to be able to be the best you can without grasping mods in Galaxy of Heroes. So if you need someone to help you out with mods, remod your roster from head to toe, and give you lots of personal modding advice specific to your roster, hit up Pimpo. He'll make sure your roster gets a lot more mileage out of it. Let's do a little bit of a free-to-play account update here. So we hit 1 million GP a couple weeks ago or so. And I gotta say, we've been definitely on the conservative side, only spending gear where we need it, things to build up towards our farming plan. My plan this year is going for Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. There's a ton of other great plans out there depending on what your play style is, what characters you like from Star Wars, and what enjoyment you get from Star Wars Galaxies and the content that it provides here. And I gotta say, I'm going to complete transparency. Since the great nerfs of 2021, and of course the ramped up difficulty and time needed for conquest, I'm probably about 1 or 2 Gear 13s behind on the free-to-play account because the great nerfs of 2021 killed some of my mood and excitement for the game, and my main account has required a lot more time because of conquest and the territory war changes going on out there. So I'm a little bit behind because I haven't been logging in multiple times to check all the ships, but nonetheless, I feel like we're making some pretty steady progress. Taking a look at ships before we talk about those characters in depth there. I mean, I've been farming Kylo Ren's command shuttle for who knows how long, months. We still have not had it at 7 stars. We're almost at a 7-star Kylo Ren's command shuttle to finally work towards that Hux's finalizer to get to Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Otherwise, our ships is probably one of the biggest cores of this account are doing great in Fleet Arena, and oftentimes the ships is what comes down to the wire for things like Grand Arena out there. And I started farming the IG 2000 since I'm pretty much done with the core free-to-play ships that I need for SLKR. And IG 2000 is becoming a lot more important nowadays, especially with the release of the Executor. So I'm just farming because I have some extra energy to spare out there. In regards to the character farming, right now we are only farming the geonosian soldiers we're going to talk about a little bit, and most of my energy is going towards gear right now to help us get up to Gear 13. Now I'm hoping come 2022 we're going to start seeing those free-to-play farming changes CG has been praising and preaching about. No word just yet on what the next couple phases are going to look like, but I'm hoping gearing will become easier. We don't need to beat that horse right now, but right now we're trying to get our Sith Trooper up to Gear 13. As you guys remember, we kind of focused on the pilots as well as Hux to make sure we're getting the most out of ship and the most out of our free-to-play arena. And Larry the Sith Trooper, man, he has been huge for this account. So we're closing in on that Gear 13. And if you take a look at our journey guide, I mean, we're looking pretty good here. We're just pretty much at this point, it's just getting those last pieces of gear going on these guys here. And of course, relics, of which not much alleviation has happened for the relics as of now. So I'm loving the fun I've been having on this account. The First Order is a great all-around team for the variety of content, the ships that are going on in Galaxy Series. But we got to talk about now the content of this video, and that is going to be the top 10 plus free-to-play teams in Star Wars Galaxies, and there will be some legendaries in here because there's a lot of easily accessible legendary characters that you can get. But I want to take you over to Squad Arena here to kind of just show you what it looks like. We started this account around January of this year, so we're about 9 or so months into this free-to-play account, and there are just so many teams you see over and over and over again. The Revans, Palpatines, tons of First Orders. We got some Padme Amidala's lingering. Hey, we got a tree there. Not too often you see that. Shakti clones. We're going to go more in depth on those, but take a look at the top of Squad Arena. Now, keep in mind, these guys started they started around the same time I did this year in 2021, and look at all these Supreme Leader Kylo Rens Sith Eternals, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, Sith Eternals. Tons of people push for a Galactic Legend right away, and Galactic Legends have gotten a lot more important since 2021. We really don't see any of the other Galactic Legends. So we got one Jedi Master, Luke Skywalker, but the rest are pretty much other non-legendary, non-galactic legend things. But Sith Eternal and Supreme Leader Kylo Ren are extremely popular for people to push here. Let's go ahead and show you now the list that we got going on, and we're going to try to get through these as fast as possible. I gotta say, of course, First Order is top of my list because that's what I've been working towards. This team right here is so easy to put together inside of Galaxy Heroes, and it gets so much done. Hux can prevent the Terminator on a variety of team, get tons of mass assists going. Kylo Ren keeps beating Terminator. This is pretty much going to be your best First Order team you're seeing right here until you finally get Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and literally all you're going to do is you're going to pull out baby Kylo, put in that Supreme Leader Kylo Ren lead, and you're good to go. And that's why I love this team. Besides the fact there's a variety of pilots associated with them, they're great before you get the Galactic Legend. This is pretty much the team you have to gear up to get Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and then you just throw in Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and you're good to go. Unlike some other Galactic Legends, once you get them, you didn't really build up the team needed to get the best out of them. For example, like the Sith Eternal himself. So we're not going to talk too much about First Order because that's been pretty much our topic for the whole entire year on the free-to-play series. I want to spend more time on these other teams right here. Geonosians. If you care about Scandroid, Scandroid has not been the core of this free-to-play account, so we're looking at more of a wide variety approach, kind of enjoying all the content, making sure we're doing well and all the stuff inside of Galaxies. But if you care about Grand Arena, these guys are a menace in the early divisions out there. Pretty much we never lose, but if we do lose hypothetically in the Grand Arena, I can guarantee you 9 times out of 10, it's because of a Geonosian situation. Early on in the game, and for quite a while until you get to more of the mid and later divisions, Geonosians just don't have a lot of solid counters out there unless you build up a very good First Order team and hope Sith Trooper gets a lot of big hits, or you got a good Darth leader, or you happen to have Trey, which I do not have Trey unlocked yet. You're going to find yourself hard-pressed to beat these. And usually, most Grand Arenas is who can clear the Genos. They're almost like a Galactic Legend for new players inside of the game. And this team's getting even more important than they ever were before, because as of this year, Genos are basically a soft requirement to get Jedi Master Kenobi, which in my opinion right now is the best Galactic Legend, period, inside of the game, because you need him to get Watson more. And furthermore, I want to show you this. We didn't do a full tour of our roster here, but just because of getting the Genos, and I do not have them at high gear. We're talking gear 10 max, and I have some gear 9s and gear 8s with them. Just as a consequence of it, I'm almost at a 7-star Padme without even trying. And they're great for greenery. They punch up way above their weight if you use them on offense, and they can stop even some higher gear teams when placed on defense. So being able to get Padme and being able to build yourself up to Wat Timber, which is needed for Jedi Master Kenobi. Oh man, Geonosians. I mean, I don't care what you're going for. If you're going for Revans, if you're going for Sith Eternal, if you're going for General Anakin Skywalker, build up a Geonosian team. You don't need to go all in if you don't have the gear and resource to go for them. But they are going to be used for a very long time in Galaxy Heroes and important for so many things out there. I think we spent a lot of time talking about those Geonosians. Let's talk about Emperor Palpatine. Now, a lot of these characters you're seeing here, I see it's a very common team. These guys are needed to build up to the Sith Eternal. And I suppose Emperor Palpatine's needed to get Supreme Leader Kylo Ren as well. This team is extremely popular, especially with Vader. Now, sad thing is Vader did get nerfed this year. Not nearly as good as before, except if you're using him with Lord Vader inside of the Sith raids. But most people, especially new free-to-play players, are not going to be utilizing him for that aspect right here. But Moff Gideon, another thing that happened since the guide that we put out this year, Moff Gideon is a freebie character that you get right away for playing Galaxies, and he is one of the fastest characters in the game. Very easy, even if you don't have good mods, very easy to outspeed most teams out there, reducing everyone's Terminator, reducing everyone's damage on the other side of the team, and allowing Vader and the crew to just run circles around the team. This is an extremely popular team that I'm seeing out there. And of course, it builds up to the Galactic Legends. And despite the Vader nerf that happened this year, he is still great for beating those things like the Geonosians and some other things out here. But this team is definitely beautiful. I beat this team at First Order quite often, but nonetheless, a very popular team. Needed to build up to some Galactic Legends, and who knows, maybe even Moff Gideon down the road might be needed for some other things, but we have to wait and see. Bounty Hunters. Oh man, this team is a team that just keeps getting better and better and better over the years. Almost every year or so, we get some new bounty hunters added to the mix. Last year was Mando and Grief Karga. This year we're just getting Fennec, and who knows, probably some more stuff right around the corner. Of course, needed for Chewbacca, but this team can punch up severely above their weight for a lot of things, beating things like General Anakin Skywalker if you have the right type of bounty hunters out there. But this as well is going to be extremely important moving forward. And of course, we got to wait and see what the future of Beskar Armamando looks like. But these guys right here are required to unlock Beskar Armamando. And although Beskar Armamando is not going to be on this list, there might be some suspicions that he might get better sometime down the road. But bounty hunters, I've been seeing a ton of those. Not nearly as much as the First Order, geonosians, or, for example, the Palpatine lineup. But nonetheless, bounty hunters are such a core staple team in this game, and they're so much fun. And since the guide that we put out this year, a couple months later, these guys are now on accelerated drop rates, meaning they're faster to farm now than they were at the beginning of this year, because we're way past their 1-year release. Moving on. I'm going to cheat a little bit, but not cheat a little bit. We're going to put 2 Jedi teams together. We got a Bastila Shan-led team and Jedi Revan. We're going to count this as a 1 slot here on the list. Bastila Shan is such a incredible starter Jedi team in the game, used for so many things. Now, she does have a harsh drop-off curve, but by the time you start reaching that drop-off curve with the depreciation of reviability, you're switching on over to Jedi Knight Revan down here. It's literally just switching the leads and calling it a day. This, throw on that Bastila Shan Zeta. We talked about all the best beginner Zetas in a video. We'll put a card in the top right-hand corner. This is going to get you lots of mileage. Chances are you probably built up Ezra for your Phoenix leading to Palpatine and Thrawn potentially. Throw that in there, but Jedi Knight Revan is not that difficult to get, which is crazy because he used to be one of the biggest paywalled characters in the past. Now, within a couple months of playing, you can build yourself up the Jedi Knight Revan very easily. And as you saw, if we go over to the squad arena, if you gear him up high enough, you can definitely start cracking into that top 50 slot inside of Galaxy of Heroes. So let's go take a look at some of these right here. As you see, very popular team for both squad arena, grand arena, territory battles, needed for a lot of stuff out there. So Jedi Knight Revan, I know he's technically a journey character, and he's not easy to get, but trust me, you're gonna, if you want to get Jedi going, it's not that far to build up a Jedi Knight Revan team. But in the meantime, Bastila Shan with Yoda, very easy to get some great plays going with them. Moving on, Padme Amidala, especially if you're trying to build up to General Anakin Skywalker, this is a very popular route that people go down. So far, I can say this, from fighting a variety of Grand Arena accounts, the most popular one I see is Supreme Undercover Run. I see tons of Sentinel. We kind of see that mimic inside of my squad arena. After that, it's the Revans and Padmes. Those are kind of the 5 most frequent accounts that I see being built over there. And of course, yes, Gary, the geonosians, you don't need to remind me of my biggest nightmare playing this free-to-play account. You're going to get a lot done with this. And General Kenobi, if I'm not an amazing guild by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, we've been playing for 9-10 months in this free-to-play account. We still don't have a 7-star General Kenobi. It's not that hard if you're in a semi-decent guild to get General Kenobi up and running. And even if you don't have him, plenty of options in that last slot. Barris, for example, can be thrown in that last slot. If you have a clone, throw them in there. Lots of ways to plug in that last slot if you don't have C-3PO or Kenobi up and running. But this very popular team that I see going on out there and can punch up above their weight as well with the low gear, thanks to that protection up coming from Padme Amidala's lead. Shakti and the clones. We've seen quite a few of these, not nearly as much as I was expecting this year. But again, you kind of need them to build up to General Anakin Skywalker, and it's nice having them ready for when you do finally get General Anakin Skywalker. So much turn meter, so much speed. But the problem is, at least for me, they're pretty easy to beat because what happens? Hux and his Zeta prevents the bonus turn meter on this team. So these teams are actually quite easy for First Order to beat, but nonetheless, they're great for territory battles, great in the raids. And on top of that, they're going to be useful for when General Anakin Skywalker comes out. And of course, Galactic Republic is one of the most valuable factions in the game right now. Pretty much all these characters, because they're clones, Galactic Republic, Shakti is the Jedi. These are characters you're going to be using for a long time inside a Star Wars galaxy. So you cannot go wrong with this. And moving on, Imperial Troopers. I've always been a fan of Imperial Troopers. Even before they were cool, I was rocking them way back in the day when they were just overlooked. People throw their noses up in the air. But man, this is the best non-legendary team in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes are the Imperial Troopers. And the great thing is, these core 3 right here are needed to build up to the Sith Eternal. So you already got to get those 3 going. The problem is they don't make you they don't force you to farm the other Imperial Troopers to make the lineup that #1 non-legendary team. But luckily now they give you Gideon for free. They give you Dark Trooper for free. Granted, these guys are not on the accelerated drop yet, but they are free to play farmable. In a couple months, around February of next year, we're going to see Gideon as well as Dark Trooper become double shard drop. Still be just as fast to farm in the near future. But once you got Gideon and Dark Trooper and you got Veers and Piet, you have an amazing team. I would prefer to have Range Trooper in there, but Range Trooper is not needed for any legendary or galactic legend. But Stark is just as fine as well. But Range Trooper's got that edge if you do want to get the best team out there. This wouldn't have been on my list at the beginning of the year because Gideon and Dark Trooper didn't exist and they were not giveaways, where now they are giveaways inside of Galaxy. A lot of fun. Kind of tempts me to just start all over again and build up the Imperial Troopers because they are just so much fun in this game and great for the raids, grand arenas. Oh man, if you just can make sure you outspeed your team, this team's gonna punch severely above their weight. Darth Revan. Now, Malak, unlike getting to Revans is fairly easy. Getting to Malak is a little bit different of a conversation. It's a little more difficult, requires a little more time, requires a little bit more gear, and of course, you need the both Revans to get them. So if you consider Malak to be an easily accessible character, put him in there for right now. Nonetheless, with and without Malak, Darth Revan is another very frequent team I see out there that you may have seen just scrolling through my arena shard out there. Even if you don't have Malak, you can throw in another set. I see people throwing their Darth Vader, for example, in that last slot right there until they get access to Darth Malak down the road. Getting the Revans are not that difficult inside this game. Takes a couple months free to play, but nothing completely unbearable. And Revans are such a staple team inside of this game to get a lot of work done. And of course, they build it to Malak. And even though Malak and Sith Empire are kind of old news at this point, they can do some really nice things. And the great thing about the Revans, if you do push for the Revans, very good, very balanced teams for taking on a variety of different types of things you might encounter inside of Grand Arena. Now that was 10 so far. I'm throwing a bonus in here. This is gonna be a little bit on the TBD side, but I'm gonna call it right now. Bad Batch, there's no free giveaways right now. They're not free starter characters. They aren't on an accelerated drops right now. However, Bad Batch has been one of the best things to be released this year inside of 2021. And they also have a Chirotech problem though. They are very difficult to gear up, but this is one of those teams because Echo is so fast, like Moff Gideon, you can punch up severely above their weight. Even if low gear characters, I've seen low gear purple Bad Batch geared characters beat some gear 13 and gear 12 Grievous teams out there. This team is serious. Bad Batch is the second best non-legendary team inside of Star Wars Galaxy. So by next year, they will be on the double shard drop rate. But all you need is Hunter, Echo Tech, Wrecker, which is now needed as well for Lord Vader. So it double dips into so many things inside of this game. You don't need Omega. She's not needed for anything. She's not needed for Lord Vader. Frankly, it doesn't make the team better. In my opinion, I would much rather have Shakti or Commander Cody or Captain Rex in that fifth slot right there. Or if you're like me, I use them the underdog. So many teams out there. They got so much flexibility. They're incredibly important for territorials, incredibly important for the squad arena, as well as the grand arenas out there. But we're not seeing many of them right now because they are still a newer team on the block. But I think next year, when we reevaluate 2022, and now seeing how good Bad Batch is this year and how important they are for things like Lord Vader, I think next year in 2022, these guys might be seen extremely frequently down the road. So this is the team to keep your eyes peeled for. It's a lot of fun. I always have a good laugh, good smile when playing the Bad Batch, but otherwise, these are literally the most frequent teams that I see in the game that get so much bang for your buck. Now, of course, there's a lot of other great teams out there, but I think these are really deserving of having their own top 10 list. And of course, if we want to do honorable mentions, there are things, for example, like Separatist Newt Gunnery. Newt Gunnery and Count Dooku form a pretty adequate team, but geonosians do more, they're needed for more, and there's a lot better of a team for the long run of this game. So we're gonna wrap it up right there. Honestly, I want to say one more thing. I don't see nearly as many Commander Luke Skywalkers as I was expecting to for 2021. I'm very surprised to see that. I mean, Silas and Han Solo, they're great. I think the main issue that the Rebels have is that they're more of a long game type of team. It takes a little bit of time for them to really get up a ring. You need the CLS. You need the Han Solo. You need the C-3PO. You need the Chewbacca. I've seen a couple there, but not nearly as much. They are definitely a fantastic team once you get everything put together. But I think what we broke down today are going to be some of the best teams that you guys can really, truly take advantage of as a new player and free-to-play player in Star Wars Galaxy series. If you've been enjoying the free-to-play series, let me know down below. Leave that like so I know that you guys want more of this juicy, fun free-to-play content. And as always, the most important thing, always remember, it's great to be in the Empire today.